Hey everyone, Steve back with more coverage from the Brooklyn Horror Film Festival, once again at the Nighthawk Cinema in Williamsburg. I got to see two films last night. Had a bit of a family day today, so I wasn't able to go. I have some screeners for some shorts I wanted to see, so keep an eye out for that. I have some screeners for the Slade kind of queer short program that they have. But so I got to see two films last night. Red Rooms, which is a French Canadian sort of true crime inspired thriller. This was a really interesting one. This was a very uh, it didn't lean heavy into the gore sort of crime side. So I'll read you the synopsis, give you a sense of what the plot is, and then I'll kind of dive into sort of how they play with expectations with this one. So this is directed by Pascal Plante. Um, and so it follows uh, compelled to follow the trial of a serial killer and the gruesome murders of three little girls. The captivatingly enigmatic Kelly Ann conducts her own covert search for crucial piece of missing evidence needed to indict him. A snuff video of one of the victims, recklessly putting her own life and sanity at risk. So the actor that portrays Kelly Ann is very just plays sort of you don't really quite know, right? If you don't read the synopsis, if you kind of just go in a little blind, you're not really quite sure what her motivation is, right? So she's going in really early in the morning, lining up for this trial. She's here, kind of listening to the testimony, families of the victims, prosecutor defense of the supposed kind of snuff film killer, and it is really it's sort of it just plays with your expectations on what you think her motivations might be. There's this really fun sort of dynamic between her and this other woman who is like vehemently like in defense of this guy, thinking like he was framed. And so they have like really fun kind of like often very funny back and forth just interactions. And yeah, so Kelly has a really interesting character. She's like super smart. She does like online poker, makes a ton of money. She is like a coder. She's like, you get the feeling that she's certainly she's on a mission. The only thing I will say is I wish there was a little bit more. Maybe this is like, because it's definitely like a show don't tell sort of thing, right? Because you're on this mission with her, but you don't get a lot of the motivation, sort of like the why. Like, why is she so connected to these victims in this particular trial? But that being said, like it draws you in. And it's got some very tense moments. It's very shocking too, because like she's clearly like super, whether she's identifying with the victims or she's super like, there's a lot of psychological stuff going on with her that they're not like explicit with, right? I mean, it's just certainly like 0 to 100 sort of moments. But she's a very interesting character. It's a fun ride. Again, so for a film dealing with like snuff film killings, they don't really lean into sort of the violence of it. I mean, I think respectfully so. I mean, the victims here are like 13-year-old girls. Um, so it's not like I don't think a lot of people are lining up to see teens tortured in this way. So I think I certainly kind of respect sort of that decision to kind of keep it like you hear audio of what's going on the videos and stuff. They do kind of ways to they kind of like let your mind do the work. I kind of heard just people in the audience talking about just sort of like the reactions of like they really let your mind do the horror for you, which I think it could be a powerful tool, and I think it's used really well here. I'm glad I got to see it, because I saw a foreign film last year, Megalomaniac, and that one was intense. That one, that one leaned into the gore. Again, also very similarly, with the mind of killers and sort of just some similar themes there for sure. But after that, I got to see T Blockers, which is an Australian trans queer film. I'll read you the synopsis for that. So Alice Mayo McKay, who is the director and writer, also written by Ben Powell Robinson. So Alice Mayo McKay gives us the transgressive, queer, meta, political, and gooey horror film we need with her third feature film, T Blockers. This is written by Karen Coleman, who is a curator, kind of programmer for the festival. When dangerous parasites begin to take over the body and minds of men, the queer community in a small Australian town must fight back again. So this is it follows two filmmakers, Spencer and Sophie, and kind of like their team of the bigot fighters, as they're called. It's really fun. It's got some like gooey, like they say, gooey kind of gross, parasitic sort of horror. Leans into a little bit more of like it's got a little bit of like a invasion of the body snatchers sort of vibe to it. Kind of this is not what they were going for at all, but it reminded me a little bit of Animorphs with the Yerks. Sort of like when they would like put their heads in this like kind of tub of goo and they would get kind of taken over that way. Kind of gave me a little bit, reminded me of that a little bit. Just the 90s kid in me was like, oh, yeah. But really interesting. It's certainly not a perfect film in terms of like, because I'm pretty sure the director is pretty young. I think I heard like 19. And this is their third feature film. I think their fourth one coming out real soon. So they're hitting the ground running. And if this is their third film and on sort of like an indie budget level, like color me like super impressed. It was a lot of fun. It was genuinely funny too. And just like to see like badass queer trans characters sort of like taking charge and it almost had like a buffiness to it sort of. It was just like a fun time. I don't know if it's going to be streaming soon, but anytime I can like enjoy queer horror, I'm strapped in for the ride. So this is a really fun one. So yeah, so these were the two that I got to see. Lots more. I waited in a rush line for another film. They filled up real fast. Like I said, I have some screeners for the queer short films. So I'm gonna once I kind of watch all those, I'll give you a kind of a quick sort of reaction to that. I'm going to be back for tomorrow for Monday night. I'm going to see a screening of Pet Sematary, the new one. So I've been holding off on seeing that on Paramount Plus, just because we kind of had to see it on the big screen for the first time. So I'm going to be seeing that, as well as, let me give me one sec. I forget. And I'm seeing Stop Motion, which Angel and I covered on Coffee Crypt. And that one is kind of follows a stop motion filmmaker, a stop motion animator, I should say. And I believe some of it is told in stop motion. Again, sort of like a psychological horror. So I'm very excited. So that's what I'm going to be reviewing for tomorrow. So keep your eyes peeled for that, the queer shorts, and lots more to come. All right. I'll catch you guys real soon. Bye now.